Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first Overwatch tournament of the year, and what a way to do it, as we bring you quite a unique experience here. We'll get into that in a couple of minutes, but it's the Anti-Rust Conquest tournament, 4v4 game mode that we have never streamed before. I'm excited for a whole weekend of this sort of action, and joining me for our first match is Terran Lord. How you doing, my friend?
I'm really good, a bit tired, obviously, 10 a.m. I have an early wake up, but other than that, I'm really excited to see these games. This is, as you said, it's a completely different game mode, and it's very interesting to see how teams are going to take their approach to this.
I have no idea what the strategies are. I mean, we started bouncing ideas around before the stream started, and I was completely off on like every single one of my guesses. So obviously I don't know this game mode a lot, but if you guys have ever played something like Destiny's Iron Banner, it is a very similar game mode to that. There are 3 control points. If you control them, then you get more points for killing enemies. You always get points for killing enemies, but you get more points if you control more zones. If you get 3 zones, we enter a power play, and your team just gets ridiculously strong.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, especially the fact that, I mean, being able to see through walls, that's the one thing in Overwatch where you can catch people by surprise because you can hide behind the walls. But if you can't hide, then the team can just hunt you down. And getting those kills, getting either that advantage or even just being able to catch up can be really huge.
I mean, it's Widowmaker sights the whole time there while you're in that power play. And, that's an entire ultimate ability. Imagine having an ultimate ability running the whole time. So teams are definitely going to want to take advantage of that and try and hunt down some extra points for a quick boost. It means that we have an opportunity for some really turnaround games where one team may be dominating for the first good portion, and then if the other team manages a clean sweep, gets all 3 objectives, and enters a power play themselves, they've really got an opportunity to bring that points back.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think because we're going to see maps where it's quite enclosed, so it's not like you can just hide, like, wait away. 15 seconds is not really the longest time, but it's enough where you can get a team wipe. So we're definitely going to see it in those kind of situations. Either teams that aren't on the power play are going to be very aggressive to try and win those fights early, so then they don't give too many points away, or try and play it very defensive and try and stay away.
Well, the second part of this tournament that makes it so interesting is the map choice. This is a death map. This is a death match variation where we have 4 players on each team. And all of them are going to be played on our control point maps. Much closer versions. The big one being Kanazaka, the latest map to be added to the Overwatch roster. Terran, what do you think of this map?
I really like it. I think aesthetically it's really good. The mixture between the more modern versus ancient Japan. It's really nice. But in terms of deathmatch kind of mode, it's quite a weird map. There's a lot of enclosed spaces, bit of open spaces as well. But a lot of places you can kind of hide out, and creates very interesting fights.
It should be interesting. So going into our first match, we have the 2 teams coming up here, Horizontally Cut Bread and Uncalled For. And this is one of my favorite things about these tournaments, is just the names that come out. Horizontally Cut Bread being made of our resident streamer, the Peach ZA, Rinku Hareru, Little Clumsy, and Zavania. And on the Uncalled For side, we got Newt Newt, Hamster, Skeevy, and Unreal Nick. You guys might recognize these guys. These are some of the top players in the South African scene.
I think that's very interesting, especially when you look at Uncalled For, quite a team that I'm more familiar with. People that I play with quite a lot in general. Not really have been a team with, but some really good players in their own right. And same can be said for Horizontally Cut Bread.
What's amazing about this is how spread out these guys are, but they're always around to scout it out. They've got a very mobile composition, as Horizontally Cut Bread, who is trying to find picks, but they're getting collapsed upon by Uncalled For, also with this incredibly mobile composition. And this is something that you were saying at the beginning of the day, just before the stream, about what makes these teams powerful. And it seems that mobility, being able to scout things out, being able to move together and regroup as a team, being able to move from one point to the other effectively, is what's really holding Uncalled For into this early lead.
Yeah, no, it's giving me kind of like the same as those 4v4 team deathmatch vibes, where you play these extremely fast characters. Sometimes, okay, maybe in those you see a bit more like Roadhog, that kind of stuff, but it's very interesting. Now we're going to see a power play already starting.
Oh, so Uncalled For doing a great job of just securing every one of the objectives and everyone winning these individual fights there. We see Newt, such a good tracer, and being able to move around like this, find a keep target, and before anyone can group up, he's on top of them. Look at this, he's managed to get onto the Sombra. Rinku Herrera, they're a great Sombra in his own right, but Newt's still fighting this out. He wants to get onto this point. He hasn't decided to drop his pulse bomb. He's looking for this big opportunity here. He's gonna stick it. He manages to get it there, but no one goes down as a result just yet. Little Clumsy does fall from that pulse bomb, but the rest of the point still going for it. At this stage, still just a single point for each team per kill. They each control one zone. They're fighting it out though. Uncalled For now sitting on this point. They haven't controlled it. They've moved away from the points.
Yeah, no, they're off chasing kills. They want these kills more important than the points, which I wouldn't say is the best strategy, because I mean, if you control those 2 points, then it's 2 kills, 2 points per kill, and it just, you can see they can snowball their lead with that.
And I think this could be an opportunity for Horizontally Cut Bread to really capitalize on this if they are being aware. We see them Uncalled For doing a good job of moving from point to point quickly. Now they're going to try and contest this point here and stop Horizontally Cut Bread. Bread really wants to just avoid these fights if they can. Either take the fights all as 4, or they're going to try and get to a point and then dodge it out. So now we see it fighting. They've swapped to Vegeta, and that's going to offer a lot more sustain and a lot more brawl as the Uncalled For quad drop on top of them. The Peach ZA flailing away there. All goes very, very low. In fact, he could fall. He does at this point, and that's going to take away a lot of the sustain. The beat has come out now for Uncalled For, managing to come through. The High Noon and the EMP come through, and he gets shut down. Little Clumsy not being able to get anything out of this. Lots of players for Uncalled For dropping, though, as Horizontally Cut Bread Zavania starts dropping that Coalescence on the point, and it's taken out too. This could secure this point, and now that's the boop from behind from Hamster tries to shut it out. So now Uncalled For just separating a little bit, not wanting to take any more fights.
Yeah, no, I think we just see a bit of time to regroup. They still got the advantage. They need to make sure that they don't just feed in kills, because if they start feeding in, then we're going to start to see Horizontally Cut Bread come back in this game.
Wow, a lot of ults dropped here for a non-committed fight. They've got a couple of people around, but Uncalled For really wanting to take this. Not getting any kills out of it just yet. We see Peach flailing away there from Horizontally Cut Bread, and they were the ones to drop that rally, in fact. So neither team takes the fight, but they both just use a couple of ults, maybe just posturing, controlling some space.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see like how the teams have started to evolve now that they decided, okay, we may be taking the fights as a bit iffy for us, like we need to just regroup a bit. Yes, we kind of posture use our ults, but I think in this mode, ults aren't as important because of how quickly these fights happen.
You know, I think the ults come in when two teams are committing for the same fight. They both want to get that third objective, you know, where one team has got 2 objectives and then they go for the third. If the team wants to stand and hold that objective, win the fight, and then go claim the other objectives, then they really have to drop a couple of ults, win it out there. Oh, the double pulse bomb comes out from Newt into the middle of the fight, and that's going to be Horizontally Cut Bread cleaned up very quickly. Uncalled For managed to take a second point for themselves.
Yeah, and then we just started to see that they're really doing a good job of picking off these targets. I mean, the pulse bomb from Newton, I think he's been a very big part of how well they've been playing here. As soon as they need to, he goes in, gets that pick, and gets that advantage in these fights.
If you guys were following there, Hamster was playing the Lucio. He came from like the other side of the map and was able to reinforce his team. They're using people like Skivvy to scout out where the opponents are. This is a dangerous play here. Little Clumsy still comes out on top of that. He missed his flashbang, and I thought Skivvy was going to play through that. And now it's the opportunity for Horizontally Cut Bread to assault point A.
Yeah, and they've now started to realize, okay, maybe Sombra is not necessarily the best pick. Yes, very good at shutting down the Wrecking Ball, but we kind of need something to set up these engagements, which, and as you said, the scouting out potential that Skivvy's been doing, now maybe Rinku Herrera can do that on the ball.
Oh, we see the pile driver coming through from Rinku Herrera. He's gone into this. The Coalescence drop from Zavania. Rinku Herrera is going to run away from that. And now we see the Deadeye coming out. Little Clumsy looking for it. And just doing that and Zavania's Coalescence, they're able to zone out this point, and now it's up to Zavania to track down a kill. Trying to find someone there, doesn't manage to get it, and it is still Uncalled For ahead here. Each team has the opportunity. There comes the power play!
The big power play coming in, and I think that's a bit of a mistake coming from a Horizontally Cut Bread. You know, they had control of the point, but decided all to walk off it for some reason. Very interesting, without getting the kill, so at least, you know, they're making this power play, but not really worth it in the end. But just that one kill, like it equalizes the 3 kills that they've gotten already.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you cannot trade things out in these fights. You've got to win the fight cleanly and instantly almost, because every kill you give your opponents is huge. That's the end of the power play, and so it's going to level out a little bit. And this is Peach's opportunity to run forward. The pulse bomb onto the back sends the body careening into the wall. Zavania, Unreal Nick just wanting to avoid the rest of this fight. They're looking... we see a horizontally cut bread didn't commit fully to that fight. They got to 95% on zone A. There we go. We finally see Rinku Hareru managing to get control of that point, but he's may pay with his life for this.
Yeah, and I think that they're starting to see like a bit of disarray from both teams. You know, these smaller fights starting to happen, but more kind of devolving into the team deathmatch that we used to seeing, as opposed to like more of this team play. Like we see sometimes there's only 2 people on points, and I don't know. It's not really like working out for either team right now.
It is still Uncalled For managing to get this, and they're on the verge now of capturing a 3rd point. Oh man, if they can get that. No, this is actually horizontally cut bread managing to come back and take that out from under the nose of Uncalled For. Just these points changing so quickly. And this is the opportunity now for horizontally cut bread. They've got two points, and so every time they trade out, they effectively win that. So you see Uncalled For, Unreal Nick trying to contest there. Here comes the beat from Uncalled For. They want to take this fight. This is going to be an opportunity for them. They're going to take this point and very quickly rotate over to point B probably to try and pick up that extra power play.
You know, I like kind of the way that both teams are starting to play. Like they've realized, okay, these 2 points are very important. If we control these 2 points, then okay, maybe the power play is not necessarily going to be that beneficial to us. But as long as we have control of these points, it means we can force them to fight where we want to.
Exactly, and you know, when that 3 points per kill becomes huge. If it trades out to a 3v3 team fight, one team's got 3 points, the other one's got 9 points. I mean, come on, that is not even equivalent. So when it comes to this mentality of when you're supposed to fight it, we see the power play coming out now. It's horizontally cut bread. This is their first opportunity to really come into this game. We see Rinku Hareru wanting to chase down some kills. Everyone's dead, so they managed to pull up a couple of points here. It looks like they're just going to regroup, make sure that they contest any points here, as we see just everyone avoiding a fight from Uncalled For. Really nice play by them in terms of mentality of this.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and now like we're starting to see how like horizontally cut bread come back into this, and I think their ball pick is really making a difference. It's been able to allow them to split up a bit more, and we're starting to see the Lucio as well from the Peach. So while they have less sustain, they have more mobility, and I think that's going to be really important, especially on Kanazaki here, where the fights are going to be a bit more chaotic. You know, it's not as close together, and because of these like small corridors, it makes it difficult to take longer range fights.
Oh, we see Little Clumsy doing a pretty decent job there. Has got that ultimate up. Uncalled For starts pushing onto point A. They want to get control of this. If they can get that double point lead, yes, in fact, they do manage to get it. This means that they can take the fight. And they just want to get kills now. Even if they pay with their own lives, it works out towards them. So you can expect this aggression. We do see Zavania trying to get out, but the mobility that comes out from Uncalled For means that they can not just pick up the kill, but rotate instantly to point B. It has been horizontally cut bread that has managed to pick up a fight in the background with Zavania creating space. So they do have the zone advantage. They're going to be getting more kills here. You can see that lead starting to go down. Only 10 points in at Hamster, in fact, having to run for his life there. We see eventually the time runs out. Uncalled For. Horizontally cut bread wins. What?
Yeah, no.
They had less points. They're on 47. Oh, right, okay. So, to change everything that happened in that match, horizontally cut bread and Uncalled For were swapped on our overlay. So, Uncalled For was the blue team, horizontally cut bread the blue team, and horizontally cut bread coming out the victors, having controlled it. Exactly the same players, you know, the Unreal Nick, Hamster and Newt and Shivi. All of those guys were horizontally cut bread. They did win. Exactly as we expected, but a great bit of play coming out from those two teams. So the red team, horizontally cut bread, did a really good job of avoiding fights when they needed to, and then taking fights with their mobility and locking onto a target and just chewing through that target. No amount of escapability was enough for those guys to get away.
Yeah, no, I think that the 2 people we've definitely got to like make a big note of was Hamster and Newt. You know, those are probably the 2 players that you look at as, you know, coming from Team Mist, the quote-unquote best players in this team, and they really are showing it. They're taking these 1v1 duels when they need to, and then winning them, and then coming through those team fights where they're up one and winning those team fights as well. And I think Newt's pulse bombs really coming into clutch multiple times, getting 2 or 3 picks most fights, and it's really crucial in these kind of game modes.
Oh, it's huge. A pick like that, especially when you have the points advantage, means you not just get extra points instantly, it opens up that space to now start tracking down other kills and finishing off the fight, because you don't start losing any players yourself. When you've already got 2 people at the beginning of the fight, and it's a 4v2, you expect to not have to lose anyone. And considering people like Hamster were able to reinforce fights so quickly, bouncing over those walls, just showing off some Lucio mechanics, meant that he could get kills himself, and he could get to a player in trouble. If someone extended too far, they could get there, heal them up very quickly, put on that speed boost, and it now becomes the chasing team's responsibility to not waste all their cooldowns trying to get out, or to try and find and hunt down that kill.
Yeah, and also, especially with that mobility we've been seeing, once you get those picks, maybe you don't even have to have all 4 people in the fight. You can send one off, maybe that Lucio or the Wrecking Ball, go capture a point. Yeah. And because you've won a fight and you've captured another point, then you capture that point where you won the fight. So you're up in that advantage as well. Then the other team has to regroup by that 1 point they control. And they have to choose, okay, where do we take the fight from here? Do we make sure we defend so it's not a power play? Or do we try to get the advantage ourselves? And then that leaves us open to just losing the point we're already controlling.
All right, so some very interesting points coming out there from our first map between these 2 teams. We're going to Oasis, a little bit more of a familiar map here, but the concept stays the same. Control as many zones as possible, get kills where you can, but don't die and give your opponents health, especially when they have the point advantage. Avoid fights if you need to, get the kills, take the team fights that are critical, and get pulse bombs every 5 seconds. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing the same composition coming out from Uncalled for, that Lucio Ball, Traces, Moira that they had towards the end, which was more of a success, whereas a bit of a change up coming from horizontally cut grid with the Sombra coming in now instead of that Moira.
But look at the power of the Sombra here. That point B has the mega health pack in the center of the point. If you're wanting to contest that, and being the most central point, it is the most contested, that is a critical pick. If they can continue to get that hack on that central health pack, that's like having one of the best healers in the game on your team in the middle of that team fight if you ever have to fight it out. They have to get there though. It means fighting out the rest of this time. The hack's going to be very useful on the Wrecking Ball. Rinku Herrera going to go down very early in this fight. It is a fight that's dragging out, and Uncalled for having this point control is going to be happy about it, but they are 2 points down. They've managed to pick up the 2 kills though and not give away any points themselves. So a nice early start that's pretty level for these 2 teams.
Yeah, no, I think at that point of the health packs on this point, you look at pretty much all the control points, and there's 1 mega health pack by them all the time. So if you can get the hack on them, it basically means you have a 5th person in this fight in terms of heals.
We finally get back to Symmetra as a support. When was the last time we saw that, eh? So, actually living up to the potential in that respect, making sure that you can get control of this. And look at that, Newt knowing that he can't get that health pack. And it's not just getting that health pack consistently for yourself. It's getting that health pack away from your opponent's team. No one's going to be able to make a big play and get the extra 250 HP. So far, going the way of Uncalled for, surprisingly enough, even with this health pack advantage. But horizontally cut bread, not out of it. They did very, very well in the last match, taking that one. And now we see them just avoiding fights again. We see Rinku Herrera just splitting off, taking this point here, not actually going to go for he's going to pop the mines just to support himself. And he gets hacked up, so this is going to be contested. And he's actually losing it out to the Sombra. Rinku Herrera pays with his life. What patient play coming out from horizontally cut bread.
Yeah, and you can see they started to realize, okay, maybe we can try force them onto points and pick them off 1 by 1. And that's what they but these fights still somehow going in Uncalled for favor. I'm not sure, while the Sombra hacking the health packs is really good, it seems that they're lacking a lot of damage in that regard, finishing off these kills.
In fact, you are right. I think it comes down to the fact that Uncalled for running double supports means that even with the health pack advantage, Uncalled for is still staying alive throughout this. You can play around that health pack as much as you want. You're still not killing us. And so, Skivvy now coming onto a Sombra, manages to stay on this point, and again, they don't have the points advantage. They don't have the zone advantage. In fact, so horizontally cut Braid still falling further and further behind, managing to get up a couple of kills where they need to. Skivvy going to be in a lot of trouble, uses that health pack advantage, tries to hack it back up, shouldn't really need to, and now using the translocator to get to the other side of the fight. Invisibility's out, manages to pick up that health pack again, and still staying around and trying to contest this. Where's the rest of Uncalled For though? They've split out, they've still got the other two zones, so they can pretty much just pick and play as they want to. You see horizontally cut Braid now, Unreal Nick trying to charge forward, realizing that they're just getting fought into a corner on the terms of the other team. And so he rolls out, trying to take this fight, but he gets stunned up, that flashbang. He's dropped it. Oh, Hamster coming down with the beat in the middle of the point here, trying to fight this out. Horizontally cut Braid have decided that this is a point that they need to hold if they're going to take an advantage in this game. Uncalled For though, just playing through it. That coalescence coming out, the stuns coming out from Little Clumsy where it needs to, and fighting it out means that they've still got control of this point. They're still getting the advantage every time they get a pick. Newt fighting it out now. Little Clumsy could go down in this one. Does manage to get the kill there onto Unreal Nick on the Hamster on the other side and stays alive. Just ignores Newt chewing away at the back. Hamster gets the kill now, and again the pulse bomb. This could be the chance for horizontally cut Braid.
Yeah, but with the mines on point, it's going to be very difficult for them to enter. So really good zoning out coming out here, because the most important part, like as long as you can keep control of this point, it means that every kill that you get, it's going to be that extra bit of kill. And it means also that you can delay for the rest of your team to come back, and that's exactly what they've done. And they've ended up getting the picks. Maybe that they might end up losing this control point, but from that fight alone, they got the better trades.
Well, look at their advantage. Rinko Herrera is going to go in as the Wrecking Ball now. He's got that health pack. He doesn't have the health pack. Sorry, that's the other side. But he can go through and just stall it out a little bit. It's given the Peach a chance to run around the outside and actually try and contest for point C on the spawn advantage here of horizontally cut Braid. And whatever they're doing, they have managed to hold the center here, and they've nearly controlled point zone C.
And then we're starting to see like a much better like control play coming out of Uncalled For. They're starting to see, okay, as long as we can keep these points, the fights on these points as long as possible, then every kill we get, we're just slowly ticking up and we're getting more points than us. Even if they might be getting more kills than us, as long as one person stays alive, we can stall this point out.
Ooh, Newt going for that. Oh, nearly gets punched to death. Oh, the flick shot coming around from Little Clumsy meant that Newt just couldn't finish off that kill, and they were able to spot fast enough. Again, there we see some mines coming out to the end of the fight for Unreal Nick. Glad to get up that one. And we do see the capture coming through on Zone A. Hamster doing a great job on the Lucio of running around the outside, just avoiding the fights, and now they're going to take the fight on point B. And it's up to Uncalled For now. Do they take the fight here? Do they contest it out? Or do they go and try and capture another point? They do have point disadvantage. So horizontally cut Braid going to be able to do to maybe get a little bit of space back here. The beat comes out, the EMP comes out as well from Skivvy, and it means that they are able to take it 2 points now for horizontally cut Braid to control.
Yeah, now especially like this point B, I mean, we've seen so many fights surrounding. I think teams have realized that this is the most important point. You control this, you kind of got a segue to both control positions. You can go to C, you can go to A as well. So I'm surprised that teams aren't fighting over that point, but they kind of seem to be fighting on the outer edges at the moment.
Still taking fights in different areas, doing a great job there. Little Clumsy getting a couple of kills, them even managing to get a dead-eye kill means that they've got an opportunity to push to point B here. They're going to want to take this quickly. Both of their healers are coming in very, very quickly. Little Clumsy actually just sticking around on the outside, maybe realizing that they won't necessarily commit to a fight on point B, just covering point C on their side, keeping what they've got alive. And with the bombs coming out, wow, that was a big fight for horizontally cut Braid, taking out the entire enemy team, not dropping any kills themselves, and picking up so many points. There's only 4 points in it. This was their chance to come back, and they've done it.
Yeah, no, they've really they're seeing like, okay, if we can maybe split them up a bit, force the fights on the outer point, then we can start to move towards B. And because now that they've got control of that B, we're just seeing them take so many good fights and getting that advantage back, and soon possibly be in the lead in this.
Uncalled For has picked up a Sombra of their own. Wait, no. Sorry. I saw the hack come out there. This is tricky sometimes to get the hang of. Unreal Nick now swinging around the outside. Come through with a nice bit of damage there. Comboed with the pile driver. Is he going to be able to pick up the Moira? No. Just being able to stay alive for so long. Oh, Baptiste going to go down. A nice pick up there for them to try it out. The Peach desperately trying to get some different opportunities. Yeah, the flashbang comes out. The double tap comes from there from Newt. He's swapped out from the Tracer onto the McCree, just dueling it out and proving Ooh, Little Clumsy nearly makes it out, and Little Clumsy almost gets a kill on Newt, but sticks around for a second too long. And again, horizontally cut bread using the Sombra advantage there to take the lead.
Yeah, no, like Uncalled For, we started to see them more move to like a more of a brawly comp with a Moira, Kree, Roadhog, and Baptiste, but they lack a lot of mobility, so being able to capture, like, force fights onto multiple points is going to be very difficult for them. And now they kind of have to just fight on one point, try to get control of B, but it's going to be so difficult to do coming from behind here.
And you see Uncalled For has made a change onto the Roadhog. This is a hero that I said would have a lot of power in this at the beginning, and it does allow you to do that. He doesn't have the mobility. He can't run from point to point super quickly, but they're just going to try and negate the Sombra advantage. That's a nice lamp coming out from the feet Z8 to negate the mines. Everyone just standing in them, tanking the mines, and not getting prey to that really enclosed space. So good play coming out from him. He now drops that amplification matrix. Can't keep his teammate alive. Rinku Rairero going to go down. And that could be dangerous. He's missing his shots. This is going to be bad. He leaves his McCree and has to get out as horizontally cut bread extend their lead even further.
Yeah, and then now I think you're going to see from horizontally cut bread, they know, okay, 1 minute left on the clock. We just need to make sure we need to keep our lead, keep the control of these points, and we don't even need to go for a power play. Yeah, power play would be great. That will probably guarantee them, but as long as they're the ones trading out in these kills, it's fine for them. They're going to get more kills, but the start to the fight is a bit rough for them.
This is a great whole hog, just that enclosed space, meaning that if you hit someone, they're just going to stay on the wall right in front of you for you to chew down. And that's a great play coming out for Uncalled For. Again, just taking the fights that they want. One critical fight. See Little Clumsy pushing out now, trying to get point A, and it could be a good opportunity. There is a little skeevy Sombra around, but not going to be able to do much on his own when his Newt's McCree goes out the other side. The flashbang! Invisible Sombra! What? He flashes them out and then takes the headshot to secure that. What a beautiful way to earn yourself a power play. And now let's see what you guys can do with it. It's ticking down quickly, and they're trying to get some close some distance. Yeah, the ball goes down very quickly. That's a great play from they managed to pull it up evenly. The power play is about to end, but they have scouted out where the opponents are, and they know where they want to take the fight. Got to push forward onto point A. I think they can do this very, very easily. With the high noon, he comes through from the corner, manages to get it. Everyone's hiding behind the tree, and they give it up.
Wow.
What I thought could have been a team wipe there coming out from Uncalled For actually turns around to them not getting onto a point, and they lose the game because of that.
Now that was crazy. I've never seen like overtime in this mode, so I wasn't sure exactly how it worked, if it needed like one kill. And like the high noon play then would be really good, like you get that one kill, get a pick off, and then you win. But being able to just take control of a point means that you just win straight up. Like if you get on that point faster, there's nothing the enemy team can do, and if they don't try to contest you, and they didn't, they try to get that point for themselves.
Wow, that was impressive. It's a rule that if you guys don't know how it works, at the end, if both teams have the same score, the first one to control a point, not get a kill, gets the game. And that's exactly what it was. It was a brute force race from Uncalled For towards horizontally cut bread, but they got to the point later. They didn't get as many people on it, and they couldn't clean up the ones that were on that control point. So horizontally cut bread managing to take this 2-0. Great fight coming out from both teams, though. Definitely not a one-sided contest here on our first map. I was happy to see that, and it's made me very excited for the rest of the day's Overwatch.
Yeah, definitely. I think something that I was really happy to see is it wasn't just, teams sticking to one comp the whole time. They were kind of switching up, trying, different strategies, trying to play it out differently. And we saw, that's why we, in the beginning, we saw horizontally cut bread take a big advantage on Kanazaka, and it slowly was edging away, towards the end. And then coming into Oasis Gardens, we saw, the Uncalled For take that advantage, but then started to lose it a bit as soon as they lost control of point B. It went towards horizontally cut bread, and we saw a very tight ending. I mean, just capturing control point was what won it for them.
What a way to start the day. Yeah, start the weekend, in fact. It's going to be a 2-day tournament, and I think that's the ability to understand what needs to be done and how to change it up. I mean, this is like no other game mode. This is not something you have sat and practiced for 300 hours, Learning the tricks and the techniques that you need to win this sort of thing comes down to understanding the hero